happy day 5, last day of virtual summer camp. Today we got to learn all about our beautiful hawksbill sea turtles and the habitat that they like to hang out in here in Florida, the coral reef. So today we're going to be doing together a really cool coral reef painting. Now we are going to be doing a really cool method for painting, so stick around and you too can make a beautiful coral reef scene just like this one, fit for our happy little hawksbill. So here are the materials that we're going to need for our straw painting to resemble our coral reef. So main thing that we're going to need is our blue paper, our straw, and our paint. Everything else is a little bit optional depending on what you want to make. So if you want to do the whole thing like I'm going to do, then I'm also using brown paper for my sand, my hawksbill printable, or my coral reef printable. I have scissors to cut those out, glue to attach everything, and I have markers to color in my printable things. But overall, for the most part, the main things you need are your blue paper as your background, your paint to make your coral reef, and your straw to make your coral reef as well. So I'm gonna show you the kind of extra steps, but you can do it however you want. Just follow along and we're gonna make this beautiful coral reef using our straws. Right guys, so I went ahead and put together my main ingredients, or my main things that I need for our coral reef painting, which is our blue paper, which we are going to lay landscape, not portrait, landscape on its side. I also have my straw to make my coral pieces, and I have my paint and brush. Now this is watercolor paint, so in order for this to actually work, because right now it's dry, it doesn't have water in it, I grabbed myself a cup of water, but you can also just run it under the sink and swirl it around with the brush. That'll activate the paint as well. But this is my water to add to my watercolor. So what I'm gonna do first is take my brush and I'm gonna choose the paints that I want my coral to look like. Now, coral reefs, as we saw, are really brightly colored, and it kind of depends on the type of algae that is inside the coral, depends on what color it's going to make. So I want my coral reef to have lots of zooxanthellae, lots of algae. I want it to be a colorful coral reef, so I'm going to choose colors that are really bright on my palette. So I'm thinking maybe the yellow, maybe that orange, love the pink. I don't think I'm going to do blue though, because blue would mix in with my paper. So I'm going to skip the blue, and I'm going to try some of those really bright colors. So I'm going to take some water from my cup, I'm going to add it to my palette. Let's start with our pink here. Swirl it, swirl it, swirl it. And now I am activating my paint. Oh, I'm seeing some bubbles. Yours might not bubble, but it is making paint. So what's happening is now I have paint. So I'm going to mix up all of my different colors that I want. So adding water, and I'm actually going to add a lot of water because that's going to be helpful to our next step in our coral reef painting. So lots of water, really mixing up those paint colors. Colors all nice and watery, and so my next step is to transfer big glob of watery pastel-y paint onto my paper, and then I'm going to use my straw here to actually blow the paint across the paper and disperse it kind of like a naturally growing coral. So I'm going to go ahead and start here with my orange. I like my orange, it's really nice and bright, so I'm swirling it around and I'm getting a whole bunch of paint on my brush. So what I want to do is take all that watery paint and I'm going to do a big blob right there, kind of wherever you want, but get a lot of that pigment, a lot of that paint in a big drop just on your paper. That should be good. And next I'm going to put my brush down and I'm going to get my straw. So all I'm doing is putting my straw to the paper and I'm going to blow the paint across the paper. However it wants to grow is just like a coral. It's gonna grow. So take a big puff of air and blow. And there we have made our first little coral. So now we're just gonna kind of do that over and over with all the different colors to make a whole coral reef across our paper. It's really cool. So I'm gonna keep doing that. You do how you want. Try to make it in a line across the paper, because our next step, if you want to participate in the next step, is to make sand using a brown piece of paper. So I'm gonna keep adding corals and you just kind of do the same. So here is my finished little coral reef painting using my straw to blow that paint all over the place. So now what I'm going to do is actually just put this to the side, let it dry, and once it is dry we will be able to move on to our next step, which is gluing everything on top. So first what I'm going to do is go ahead and color my printable, my coral reef printable. And so with that, I'm going to be coloring this hawksbill sea turtle using the colors that we saw in our presentation and all of our pictures. But I also have some little reef fish that we can color as well. We're going to be cutting those out and then pasting them onto our coral reef painting. Is all colored in, we can go ahead and cut it out. So grab your scissors, and I also went ahead and grabbed my brown piece of paper. Remember, this kind of steps are optional, so if you want to color your animals to put onto your coral reef, if you would like a sandy bottom on your coral reef, you are able to participate in this part. But if you just wanted to do the painting, that's a-okay as well. But I'm gonna go ahead and cut out my ocean animals, and I'm gonna show you how to make your sandy bottom. So let's go ahead and do that. Colored animal friends are all cut out and ready to go onto their coral reef habitat, but usually when we have our corals growing out in the ocean, they are growing out of the ground, usually on the sand. So we need to make a sandy bottom for our ocean floor, and so I'm going to use this nice brown piece of paper. And honestly, this is going to be super simple because all I'm doing is making a wavy kind of cut. Not super wavy, we want it to not look like ocean waves, but more like little sand waves, little sand dunes. So that's all I'm gonna do is just cut a wavy kind of line on one of my sides of my piece of paper. And remember, we want to cut it horizontal, not parallel. Landscape, not up and down. Sandy bottom. Now honestly, I can even do 2 layers of this if I wanted to, but I think I'm just gonna stick with the one. So that way we have our sandy bottom, our coral reef painting is drying, and now we are able to put it all together into a beautiful coral reef habitat, perfect for a little hawksbill sea turtle. Let's do it. coral reef painting fit for all of our fishy friends and our beautiful hawksbill sea turtle. Now, this is our final activity of our virtual summer camp, so I hope you guys had so much fun making our things and learning all about our amazing sea turtles that live here in Florida. And I very much hope that you can come visit us here at Loggerhead Marine Life Center soon, especially during the summer. So enjoy the rest of your summer. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you later. Have a turtly awesome summer.